Institute of Engineering and Technology.
Hello students. So in the part of matrix algebra, now we are at the last discussion, which is known as applications of eigenvalue and eigenvector. We have gone through various properties of eigenvalues and vectors. We know how to find row echelon form and reduce row echelon form of the matrix. We know how to find inverse of the matrix using Jordan's method. We know how to solve system of linear equations. And then in last talk we discussed about finding eigenvalues and vectors of the matrix. In this talk my focus would be on applications of eigenvalues and eigenvectors. In particular, I am going to discuss two applications. The first application is how to find Cayley-Hamilton form of the matrix, or what is the Cayley-Hamilton theorem of the matrix. How we can apply Cayley-Hamilton theorem to the matrix. This theorem is all about matrix equations for the given matrix. And surprisingly, it will help you to find all matrix formations of the given matrix, and it will also give you one new method to find inverse of the matrix also. Second part of this talk would be how to go for the diagonalization of the matrix. Can we convert a matrix into a diagonal form or not? Whether it is possible or not. Okay, so let us consider our first part. Let us start this thing in matrix algebra, which is applications of eigenvalue and vectors, and our first part is Cayley-Hamilton theorem. So statement is something like this, that every square matrix AN will satisfy its own characteristic equation. Now what do you mean by characteristic equation? Whenever you have a square matrix A and whenever you are finding that eigenvalues of A, you are following that equation with S1, S2 and S3, and then finding S1, S2, S3, taking into the equation, factorizing it will give you eigenvalues. But to check characteristic equation or to find characteristic equation, we need to find only S1, S2, S3 and plug in into that equation. That equation itself is known as characteristic equation, and roots of that equation are known as characteristic roots, which are nothing but eigenvalues. So this statement says that once you find that characteristic equation, you can replace lambda with matrix A itself. So from that regular algebraic equation, you can generate a matrix equation, and that is also satisfied. And it is denoted by this thing, Pn of A equal to 0. Characteristic equation is nothing but Pn of lambda equal to 0. When you replace lambda with A, it gives you Pn of A equal to 0. For that, we need these two components of matrix, eigenvalues and eigenvectors. Throughout this discussion today, in diagonalization and in Cayley-Hamilton theorem, we need these two parts, eigenvalues and eigenvectors. Eigenvalues can be considered by taking determinant of A minus lambda equal to 0. Expand this using any technique. The equation which you derive by this expansion is known as characteristic equation. And once you have that set of eigenvalues, for individual value you can find a set of vectors or a single vector at a time. That is known as eigenvectors. So let us focus first on Cayley-Hamilton theorem. Condition is this, or question is this, that show that following matrix A satisfies Cayley-Hamilton theorem. Remember one thing, all square matrices will always satisfy Cayley-Hamilton theorem. Now let me come to the matrix A, 1, 3, 6, minus 3, minus 5, minus 6, 3, 3, 4. I want to find whether it is satisfying Cayley-Hamilton theorem or not, and for that my first step is to find characteristic equation. And characteristic equation is nothing but calculation of eigenvalue up to intermediate step, which is up to finding that equation but not factorizing it. So my first step is write down this matrix into determinant A minus lambda I equal to 0. Convert it into polynomial S1, S2, S3, and then find values of S1, S2 and S3. S1 is nothing but trace of the matrix, which is 0. S2 is nothing but addition of minors of diagonals. And finally, value of S3 is determinant of A, which is going to be 16, S2 is minus 12 and S1 is 0. Once we have all these three values, we should take these values into the equation, and that equation is lambda cube minus 12 lambda minus 16 equal to 0. This is nothing but characteristic equation. Now what Cayley-Hamilton theorem states? We can replace lambda with A, and that simply means that I can write A cube minus 12A minus 16I equal to 0. 0 on the right hand side will be null matrix of same order of A, and that is also satisfied, and that I want to verify. So ultimately now my calculation would be to find A cube. So for that, first of all I am finding A square, and then I am finding A cube. Once I have these values of A square and A cube, the characteristic equation is lambda cube minus 12 lambda minus 16 equal to 0. I will plug in the values of A cube, A and I into the equation, will ultimately give me this left hand side. Now taking subtraction of all these three matrices will result into 0. This means that it is resulting into null matrix, which was our required thing. Our objective was to check whether they are 0 or not, and it is always 0. That means left hand side is equal to right hand side. So Cayley-Hamilton theorem is proved for this matrix A. For any square matrix A, Cayley-Hamilton theorem is always satisfied. I hope this part is clear. How to check whether matrix is satisfying Cayley-Hamilton theorem or not. Now let us move to the another section of this Cayley-Hamilton theorem. These are nothing but the properties of Cayley-Hamilton theorem. How you can find various possibilities of polynomial form of the matrix using Cayley-Hamilton. I will discuss only one, which is most useful, finding inverse using Cayley-Hamilton theorem. Find A inverse using Cayley-Hamilton theorem. Now this is the given matrix, and I want to use Cayley-Hamilton theorem to find A inverse. So again I will find eigenvalues. So the rule of finding eigenvalue is take determinant of A minus lambda I equal to 0, expand it, find S1, S2, S3. S1 is trace of A, S2 is addition of minors of diagonal, and S3 is nothing but determinant. Once you have all these three values, take input into the equation. That equation will give you characteristic equation. And then Cayley-Hamilton theorem states that you can replace lambda with A. So now I have A cube minus 12A minus 16I equal to 0. Now I want to find A inverse using this condition. This is true. We verified this thing in our previous example. This equation, matrix equation, is going to be true. So now how to find A inverse? To find A inverse, what I will do, I will assume that A inverse is existing. Okay, and that you can check by taking determinant also. See, the beauty of this S1, S2, S3 is parallelly it will give you the condition of existence of A inverse, as determinant of A is 16. And therefore it is non-zero value, so determinant non-zero means A inverse is existing. Once we have the surety of inverse, we can now multiply throughout this equation with A inverse. So what will happen if I multiply throughout with A inverse? It gives me A square minus 12I minus 16A inverse equal to 0. And this makes pretty sure that now we can make subject A inverse on this equation. So what I will do, I will take minus 16A inverse on the right hand side. So it will give me 16A square equal to some combinations of A square and I will divide it by 16. So finally my answer would be this. This is the technique to find A inverse using Cayley-Hamilton. So at this moment I want to recall, now we have three methods to find inverse of the matrix. The first is our regular method, adjoint upon determinant. Second is algorithm method, Gauss-Jordan method, and this is the third and the easiest method known as Cayley-Hamilton theorem. Okay, now we'll move to the next part of application, which is known as diagonalization of the matrix. Why we are going for this thing? Why diagonalization? See, first of all, diagonalization of A is determined by these two components, capital S and capital D. Capital S is nothing but a non-singular matrix in such a way that whenever you will take S inverse AS, it will result into D. D is the diagonal matrix. This is known as diagonalization of your matrix A. Now, the necessary condition, or when diagonalization is possible, this is possible if and only if for each and every individual eigenvalue, algebraic multiplicity is equal to geometric multiplicity. We know that algebraic multiplicity is number of repetitions of eigenvalue into the spectrum of A. Geometric multiplicity is number of vectors involved in the eigenvector, or you can say free variables. If these are remaining equal for all individual eigenvalues, your matrix is convertible into a diagonal form. This matrix S is a matrix which is known as model matrix, which exists of all eigenvectors into the column. Matrix D is known as diagonal matrix, existing of all eigenvalues into the diagonal form. Let us consider one example to make this thing more clear. See, suppose I want to diagonalize this matrix 1 3 6 minus 3 minus 5 minus 6 3 3 4. My first objective is to check whether necessary condition is satisfied or not. What is necessary condition? For each and every individual eigenvalues, algebraic multiplicity is equal to geometric multiplicity. So for that I am finding first of all spectrum of A. And so for spectrum of A, I want to find eigenvalues using determinant of A minus lambda I equal to 0. So it will give me one equation, lambda cube minus S1 lambda square plus S2 lambda minus S3 equal to 0. Take S1, S2, S3 individually. S1 is nothing but trace of A, which is 0. S2 is nothing but addition of minors of all diagonals, which is nothing but minus 12, and S3 is determinant, which is 16. Now take all these three inputs into the equation and then factorize it. It gives you lambda 1 is 4, lambda 2, lambda 3 is minus 2. So that means now the spectrum of the matrix is 4 minus 2 minus 2. So there are two eigenvalues, 4 and minus 2. 4 is with algebraic multiplicity 1, minus 2 is with algebraic multiplicity 2. Now remember one thing, I want to check whether algebraic multiplicity is equal to geometric multiplicity or not. So what for that I will do, I will take one eigenvalue lambda 1 equal to 4, I will find its eigenvector. So to find eigenvectors, I am taking A minus lambda I equal into xi equal to 0. Taking lambda 1 equal to 4, so diagonally I am subtracting 4, finding one new system, and then after solution, I am using Cramer's rule to find the direction. Again, I am selecting first row for the calculation. So it gives me x upon 18 minus y upon minus 18 equal to z upon 36 equal to t. So x, y, z is tt and 2t respectively. And that means x1 is t times 1, 1, 2. So there is only one direction into the eigenvectors, and that means geometric multiplicity is 1. So 4, eigenvalue 4 is satisfying our condition for diagonalization, because algebraic multiplicity is 1, geometric multiplicity is also 1. So no issue for our first eigenvalue. Let us check for the second eigenvalue. If I consider second eigenvalue lambda 2 equal to minus 2, I need to take A minus lambda 2I x2 equal to 0. It is minus 2, so it is ultimately addition into diagonal. Now simplify it. What you will observe over here is all three rows are same. They are identical. So now we cannot apply Cramer's rule. And therefore, what we'll do, we'll solve it directly. Take any one equation and solve it. So it is x minus y plus z equal to 0. One equation, three unknowns. This means that there are two free variables. And our simple logic is that always select free variables from last. So I am selecting z and then y. Once you have z and y, take those free variables into your account and then find x, y, z. It will give you, by taking z equal to t, y equal to s, your value of x2 is s times 110 plus t times minus 101. Now here you observe that there are two vectors into the eigenvector, one with respect to s, another with respect to t. So geometric multiplicity is 2. So for eigenvalue minus 2, algebraic multiplicity is 2 because of 2 repetitions into the spectrum. Geometric multiplicity is 2 because of 2 vectors into the eigenvector. This means that my second eigenvalue is also satisfying condition for diagonalization. So all eigenvalues into the spectrum, they are satisfying condition for diagonalization. That means diagonalization is possible. So now let us move further for the diagonalization. As I told you, we need to identify three possible vectors v1, v2, v3. v1 is x1, v2 and v3, they are from x2, one with respect to s, another with respect to t. Collectively, we will write down a matrix S as v1, v2, v3, all three eigenvectors into the column. Find its inverse. Here you can use Gauss-Jordan's method to find inverse, or you can use any regular method to find inverse. And then take S inverse AS, solve it. Ultimately, it will give you diagonal matrix with diagonal entries 4, minus 2, minus 2. If you observe at this junction, your first eigenvalue is 4. Your v1 first vector of the model matrix and the first entry into the diagonal matrix, they are nothing but the pair of eigens. Eigenvector is 1, 1, 2, eigenvalue is 4. Similarly, v2, v3, 1, 1, 0, minus 1, 0, 1, they are eigenvectors of minus 2. So there is no rule for selection of eigenvectors. It is not like that the first eigenvector is always for first eigenvalue. You can interchange v1, v2, v3. Okay? And then whatsoever be the answer, the corresponding eigenvector will give you eigenvalue into that situation. I hope this part is clear how to go for the diagonalization of the matrix. Remember, diagonalization of the matrix is the most useful property of eigenvalue and vector, as once we have the diagonal form of the matrix, it is easy to find its determinant, it is easy to find its rank, it is easy to find its reduced row echelon form, it is easy to find all possible properties of the matrix. I hope you enjoyed this particular sessions of matrix algebra, which is one of the most useful part in data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and further deep learning. There is one more application of eigenvalue and vector which I mentioned, which is known as principal component analysis. Unfortunately, it is not into your syllabus, but you should go for that application also. Once you know how to find eigenvalue and vector, principal component analysis is again very easy. Thank you.
LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology.